Welcome back. Great to have your company this Monday. The big banks are in the firing line again this morning. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg calling on the consumer watchdog to investigate why recent interest rate cuts aren't being passed on to millions of customers. To discuss, we're joined by Senator Pauline Hanson in Canberra and 3AW's Neil Mitchell in Melbourne. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Morning.
Pauline, the Royal Commission was meant to bring the banks into line, meant to stop them putting profits before people, but it seems little's changed.
Well, I don't think the Royal Commission went far enough. We called for them to add in the terms of reference about liquidators, administrators and other areas of the banking sector, which they didn't, and I believe that it needs to be opened up again. The interest rate's not been passed on to consumers. It's not good enough. When the government got rid of the Commonwealth Bank ownership of it, they lost competition. I don't believe we have enough competition. I think they side with each other and we don't have the right competition. This is why I've been pushing for a rural bank in Australia so that we do have the competition. I'd like to see a government-owned bank again. It's a disgrace, and I feel sorry for the independent retirees that are trying to live on just meagre savings now from the interest rates from the banks. I hope the government gets this right.
Yeah, it is such a tricky balance, isn't it? What can the government do here, do you think, Neil? Because it has been deregulated, the banking market. Should the laws be changed to force the banks to pass on these official interest rate cuts?
Well, that's the trick to this. There's nothing the government can do. They can't regulate it. They can't legislate it. They can just try to embarrass the banks. And if the Royal Commission didn't embarrass them, they got a pretty thick hide. I don't agree with the government bank. I think they muck everything they touch, they muck up, and they'll muck up a bank. I don't know what the answer is. They can try and embarrass them. There's a level of competition. And I know Josh Frydenberg rang the chief executives last night. I'd love to hear what he said to them. And they seem to respect him, but they will not listen. Their profits will be slightly down. That might be what they point to. The profits haven't been released yet, but they'll be down to a measly few billion.
Yeah, well, we'll have the Treasurer on the program shortly to find out directly. We might ask him what he actually said in that phone call. But the big test will be, of course, when the next interest rate cut decision is handed down, and it is expected to be another fall. So we'll see what the banks actually do on that score. Now, Pauline, you're firing things up in politics yourself. You're vowing to abstain from voting on non-critical legislation unless the government does more to save our struggling dairy industry. It's a big call. What do you want the government to do?
I want them to re-regulate the industry and give a fair farm gate price for milk. I'd like to see at least 6, if not as much as 10%, 10 cents per litre above production costs for the dairy farmers. In Queensland we had 1,500 dairy farmers. We're down to 385 and still they're leaving the industry. We are starting to import milk from New Zealand. It's not good enough. I see a lot of dairy farms now being bought up by the Chinese. They're going from farm gate to paddock and straight into China with their milk. One dairy farmer from Tasmania is flying out 2 plane loads of milk a week from the dairy farm there and getting $9 a litre of milk there. It is a crying shame. I feel for these farmers. And I won't hear from people say, well, as the National Party have said, leaders in the National Party have said, well, if you can't survive after 4 years of drought, maybe you should consider getting out of the industry. Well, I think that's disgusting to say that. And we, as parliamentarians, we set the legislation laws in this parliament for people out there. Isn't it funny that time of an election, the politicians go out there cap and ham crying for the people's vote so they can keep their jobs, yet we don't. We don't support these farmers who are having forced off their land away from, years in the industry, family businesses and everything like that, and we're not doing one thing to assist them.
Yeah, we know how tough they're doing it, that is for sure. So, Neil, what do you reckon? Again, another call to re-regulate an industry which the Agriculture Minister says the dairy farmers don't want.
Oh, look, I really feel for dairy farmers. I don't think there's any harder working group, milking twice a day. But 2 points. One, if Pauline gets what she wants, the price of milk goes up. Customers pay. That has to be the only way it happens. The price of milk goes up and we all pay more for milk. Do we want to cop that? And the other point is, Pauline, if you don't vote for things, does it matter? I mean, in the nicest sense of the word. Does the government need your vote on this legislation? Have you really got any power?
Well, actually, they need 4 of the votes from the 6 crossbenchers to actually get legislation passed. So in a lot of instances, yes, they do, because they can't get Senator Alliance or Jackie Lambie across the line. So yes, they do need my vote in a lot of instances. And also the fact is, Neil, the Australian people are prepared to pay more. When Coles and Woolies put it up 10 cents a litre, and that was supposed to go to the farmers, but all they got was 1.4% of that. That's not good enough. So the people of Australia, I believe, are prepared to pay more for the milk. If they don't, we won't be producing the milk here. We've gone from 12 billion litres down to 9 billion litres a year.
But how much? How much more? How much more a litre are we going to have to pay?
God, we're paying over $2 for 500 ml of water, Neil. We don't even pay anywhere near. We don't even pay anything near that. If you're going to pay farm gate price, and it changes from state to state, your production costs in Queensland could be 36 cents a litre. I know one dairy farmer who has his own production in Queensland. He pays the dairy farmers between 60 and 70 cents a litre. They don't get anywhere near that.
How much extra do you want us to pay for milk?
I'm saying about 10 cents a litre, 11 cents a litre, and that's what the dairy farmers are now saying. They want a code of conduct to give them at least 11 cents a litre more at the farm gate. Right. Now, I don't think that's much to ask,
So we have to pay 10 cents a litre more? Oh, gee, it is if you've got a lot of kids to feed. 10 cents a litre? Oh, that's a lot of money. It'll add up over a year. I mean, we're talking about the banks and $500 a year. This is a similar amount.
All right, well, we'll see what happens there and see the reaction to it. Now, I want to hear what you guys think about this one as well. The boss of appliance retailer Winning Group has launched a scathing attack on the work ethic of millennials, saying they want promotion and cash, but they're not willing to put in the hard work. Is he right, Pauline?
Well, let's get it right. The millennials are from 1981 to 1996. Now, I'm not going to put an age bracket on this because I've seen younger and I've seen a lot older than that who are lazy, don't want to work, sit around, and that's right across the board. I think it's in a person's genes, how they've been brought up, how they've been taught by their parents to have the work ethic. And even to this day, I can leave a lot of the young ones for dead in a day's work. They couldn't even keep up with me.
I bet you could, Pauline. Look, what do you reckon, Neil? Are the kids all right, or do they need to lift their game?
They're right. There's a new form of racism. Let's bag the kids all the time. There are good kids, there are bad kids. Of course, I think it's up to the boss to motivate them, to make them work. I don't think the boss can say they're all lazy. You, as boss, have got a responsibility. The kids expect more these days. Motivate them, get them going, get them fired up. They're not all lazy.
And I love that term that the kids are using now, that you're a boomer if you're a bit behind the 8 game. You're a bit of a boomer, a baby boomer.
Yes, that's right. We both fit that, don't we, Pauline?
Well, I'm a baby boomer.
Yeah, so am I.
Own it, loud and proud. And you both know how to put in a good day's work, that is for sure.